Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the meeting, June 6th, 2025.
Welcome to the Antelope Valley Union High School District Board of Trustees meeting. This board meeting is being recorded. Anyone wishing to observe the meeting may do so via AVUHSD's YouTube channel. Individuals may take photographs or record meetings provided the individual's conduct does not constitute a disruption, including obstructing the views of others. Those wishing to address items on the agenda and matters that are not on the agenda but within the jurisdiction of the AVUHSD board shall do so in person, complete a speaker form, and give it to the designee before the public comment portion of the meeting. The speaker form must be given to Ms. Orozco before the board president announces the item. Once the item has been called, we will no longer accept new cards. Ms. Orozco will call the individual's name to come up to the podium to provide their comments. Individual speakers are limited to 3 minutes each. A total time for public input on each item shall be limited to 20 minutes. Non-agendized items are limited to a total allotment of 20 minutes. Only one person is permitted to stand at the podium at a time. No speaker may relinquish a time allotment to another speaker. The district encourages members of the public to attend board meetings and to address the board concerning any item on the agenda or within the board's jurisdiction. The board does not prohibit public criticism of its policies, procedures, programs, services, acts, or omissions. Similarly, the board does not prohibit public criticism of district employees. Speakers are cautioned that no person is immune from liability for making intentionally false or defamatory comments simply because those comments are made at a public meeting. Attendees are also reminded of the board's civility policy, Policy 1313. This civility policy requires that members of the district staff will treat parents and other members of the public with respect and expect the same in return. The district is committed to maintaining disruption-free board meetings. The board will not permit any disturbance or willful interruption of its board meetings. Persistent disruption by an individual or group are grounds to terminate the privilege of addressing the board. Persistent disruption by an individual shall be grounds for the board president to terminate the individual's privilege to address the board. The district promotes mutual respect, civility, and orderly conduct among district board members, district employees, parents, and the public. The district seeks public cooperation with this endeavor.
All right, let's move to roll call. Trustee Hernandez.
Present.
Trustee Mann.
Present.
Trustee Sanchez.
Present.
Trustee Hughes. And I am present. Student board member John Lloyd Sid San Gabriel is not here, but I don't think he's our board member anymore. But he's not here. All right, through June 30th. Okay. For the rest. Okay, great. Let us stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Sanchez, can you lead us, please?
Of course. Yeah. Please stand. Put your right hand over your heart. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States and to the republic for which it stands, nation under God, indivisible, with liberty. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sanchez. All right, we are moving to 2 reports and public comments. A, from AVTA, Michael Millings or a representative for AVTA. All right, doesn't look like we have that. B, from CSEA, Ms. White, Karen White. All right, we're moving along. C, public hearing.
Madam President,
Yes,
if I could make a suggestion, we have some students here that would like to speak. Can we move public comments up? And then they can speak now and choose to stay for the LCAP presentation if they like?
yes, of course, absolutely. So we are going to move to G, public comments from the floor for non-agendized items. Do we have any comments from the public on non-agendized items? The public is invited to address the board on any matter not on the agenda that is within the jurisdiction of the board. To address an item not on the agenda, Speaker forms must be given to the designee before the board president announces this item. Individual speakers are limited to 3 minutes each, and the total time for public input shall be limited to 20 minutes. Only one person is permitted to stand at the podium at a time. No speaker may relinquish a time allotment to another speaker. During public comments, the board listens to concerns issues. The board may ask questions for purposes of clarification. The law prohibits the board from entering into a dialogue with the public or taking action on items not on the agenda. All right, Judy Hatcher, and this is on the topic, the possible closure of Knight High School's JROTC. Judy Hatcher. Welcome.
Thank you for letting me come. Nice to see an old friend. I'm in the organization called the Daughters of the American Revolution, and annually we give a JROTC award for their outstanding performance. I didn't bring any notes to say, but I was just going to say that we do that because we can, and also because in my opinion, it's the best thing to do for kids who are making the right choices. It allows them to know someone has noticed them, that we support them, and I'm here for that reason. And one of our medal winners is here this, it's the evening. So I just wanted to say that we would like it not to close, in hopes that there would be more students, because even if there's less than 100, it has influenced, I think it's 75 kids, and we'll never know how much. So thank you.
Thank you. Rebecca Rose Bonilla Sonora Zarate. And it's the future of AFGR OTC at Knight High School. Only one of you can be a peer at a time.
Can
But
she proceed after?
we can, do you need the moral support? I'm definitely okay with that.
I would ask.
Yes,
ma'am.
that's fine. I will allow that because I can.
Thank you so much.
Finish.
Good evening, members of the AVUHSD School Board. My name is Rebecca Bonilla. I am a junior at Knight High School and the new group commander for the AFGROTC program. First, me and Ms. Zarate would like to thank the school board for allowing us to speak on the behalf of the AFGROTC cadets and our program at William J. Pete Knight High School, and for hearing our concerns about the school board closing KHS's program. The following points we'd like to connect and that included in our policies for an AFGROTC program to stay open, to give good character and leadership to our cadets, include our curriculum adherence, positive learning environment, program funding and support, student involvement, and academic credits. For our program curricular adherence, we'd like to address that our instructors are the best for our students and program, as our instructor, Master Sergeant Hall, had recently received the Best Instructor of the Year throughout the AV, and our previous instructor, Major Conrad Hernandez, has been here to support the cadets because he understands the impact on former students. Both of our instructors have greatly impacted our cadets, teaching the proper curriculum that follows the Air Force ROTC guidelines, but encourages our cadets in leadership and participation. They have also taught us marksmanship, color guard, POWs, arm drill, marching, and all other special teams that follow the Air Force guidelines. The next part of the policy includes a positive learning environment. We all believe that this class that we all share is a definition of having a positive learning environment. Cadets learn, participate, and come out their comfort zones, which also bond and connect with each other, especially in class, which has not only helped us intellectually this year, but we have learned the different regions throughout the world and their culture in different parts of leadership, as well as management, but also helped us emotionally and mentally, as we know our instructors and cadets have always been by our side at the start of the school till now. Knight High School's program funding and support has been at its highest. At this year's ROTC, we've raised over a little bit over $6,000 throughout our funding this year and our previous years, including military court voting, Thanksgiving grams, PIA cadets, and many others. We also have an incoordinate amount of support shown throughout our program, which includes the Daughters of Liberty group, Palmdale Explorer Program, Coffee for Vets, AVC, the CAP, and many other more honorable programs throughout the community. And people have supported our program and have asked us to do such events as color guards, POWs. We've even conducted our own color guards here at this meeting room.
That's your time.
Well, you can go ahead and finish.
You finish.
And then for the next part, including the policies of our ROTC programs would continue by another representative of our program, Cadet Zarate.
Am I allowed to continue or should we?
Yes, continue.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you to Rebecca Bonilla for passing over to me. Student involvement is also very important as the program here has 75 cadets, all with around 15.5 community service hours just this year alone, which in itself proves that cadet involvement is very high within our core. And we are also always planning fun activities for our cadets to get them closer and to boost morale and motivation. The argument I would like to propose is that we deserve to stay open if an instructor applies over the summer, as we do understand that is a big issue, but the program at William J. Pete Knight High School is just as important, and if anything, should be more important than the other JROTC programs. I would like to point out the fact that our high school is named after an Air Force fighter pilot, William J. Pete Knight, who was also the fastest man alive. He fought as a war combat pilot in Vietnam and has shown Air Force core values to the highest degree. I believe we would not only be disrespecting our school name, but I fully believe that we would also be disrespecting everything that this man has fought for. We also have the issue concerning the scholarships and opportunities this program offers to the people who cannot afford college or who are going to the military and need those ranks provided by our program. Our graduating classes of this year and last year have all gone to a college through scholarships that our program has funded for them and gone to the military in higher ranks that our program has also offered them. We understand that there is talk of dual enrollment of transferring to Highland completely, but the majority of our students cannot simply transfer over to Highland due to the distance and money to drive over there. Students also chose to be at William J. Pete Knight and would not have chosen another school just for a program they need. Another point I would like to address is this year's unit inspection, as how ourselves and Lancaster High School has earned an exceeding standards, which is a remarkable honor and should not be diminished in any regard. In fact, this should serve as a motivation factor for other students to join ROTC at our school. We understand that the main issue is that there are no instructors and that the school board cannot do anything about that fact. The fact is that we would like to be more of a priority than Highland, as we understand if no instructors do apply over the summer or if nobody applies themselves, that an instructor from Lancaster would be taken over and given to Highland just because they have more numbers than we do. But I believe the argument that we would like to propose is quality over quantity. So thank you for your time to hear us out and at least hear us on our efforts to save our program.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Stay up there, ladies. 1 second.
Any clarification? Mr. Hughes, go ahead.
Well, we're gonna do everything to make sure we save this. I can tell you that it's I know it's complicated. Our superintendent, can you just kind of give us a briefing of what you told us before? It's the fact that it's really hard to find an instructor, correct?
Yeah, that's a statewide issue. It's a nationwide issue. California has a disparate number of vacancies currently, and our program at night has been on probation due to instructors and due to enrollment numbers for a number of years.
Okay. Clarification, have you guys got out there and tried to recruit more of a?
Yes, we actually had an increase in our numbers. Last year, we were barely surpassing by 50. Regulations changed, so we were off probation and increased our numbers by about almost 30 cadets.
And what's the number what's the threshold that you have to be a viable ROTC?
Ms. Ramos, do you know that?
I don't know the threshold offhand, but additional instructors are assigned as the program grows. So it's based off of total enrollment.
Is there do you have to have one instructor for so many students and then when the number reaches it, you have to have two, or how does that work?
The program typically has a enlisted member of the service as well as an officer. And so it's staffed with 2 employees regardless of the program size.
And we have some at Highland. We have one on every campus, correct?
We currently have 5, including Knight High School. 3 are Air Force ROTC, and then we have an Army JROTC and a Navy JROTC.
So is there any possible way of sharing instructors, or is that prohibited?
I don't know.
In the upcoming school year, after retirements are done, the end of this school year, we only have 2 ROTC instructors to serve all of the programs. Lancaster High School would be authorized for 4 instructors based on their enrollment. Highland should have 2, and Pete Knight should also have 2.
So we should have 8 and we only have 2.
Correct.
Okay. I know we just put in a call to somebody to see if they could help us out in finding a potential instructor. But Mr. Nian, can we do everything possible to try to find somebody? I mean, we're in the Air Force Valley, we're in an aerospace valley. We have a lot of retired militaries. Is there any way that do we fly this? Have we put out flyers and I don't know, in our system to see who's interested? Have we done all that?
We do advertise that vacancy in our teacher platform, and the Air Force also advertises those vacancies as well.
Now, can one of our teachers that are a veteran, could they help out is that extra, or
they would have to be cleared by the Air Force to be considered as an ROTC instructor. So it's a little different than us just going out and seeking an instructor. In our conversations, we talked about even if there was a substitute that we could put, the Air Force then doesn't allow us to maintain those supplies. So if there's not a ROTC full-time instructor, then we're not able to maintain all of the assets that go along with that program.
So considering that the name of the high school is for an Air Force, I don't know.
Pete Knight, it's Steve Knight's father.
Well, right, but the general or colonel, I don't know what his rank was. It feels like we need to really think about the lack of the aesthetics would not look great if we were to remove this from that particular school. So I am wondering, and
I mean, we're
not here.
right next to Edwards Air Force Base too.
Well, right, but I let's really think outside of the box.
Yes.
We have 2 months to hopefully resolve this. And if anything, we should save Knight's program and move then another potentially, or have them all.
I
But
think what we need to do is we have
need
to
a further
really,
discussion.
we have to really look into, we have Edward Air Force Base right next to us. Maybe I'll have my daughter or somebody reach out, or Juan can reach out to the commander out there. There's got to be some Air Force people. And I know a lot of people live in Palmdale, Lancaster that are out at the base. So I don't know what the process of becoming an instructor or the criteria. Yeah, can we, as a board, get that? Because I would
Absolutely.
want to reach out to my people out there to try to make sure we find somebody. We have to.
Yeah, closing a program is never easy, and it's something that we never want to do.
Well, we're not going to do it.
We'll
No, that's-
we'll consult with the Air Force JLTC office on Monday morning, and see what are some other options to be out of the box thinkers.
I mean, if we got a Bob FM radio, I don't care if we have to go to the base, talk to the commander, social media.
Yeah.
We're going to do everything we can to make sure this doesn't happen. I mean, that's just my Sandra. Yeah. Kevin. Yeah. I mean,
Rebecca, thank you for bringing this to our attention. It's very brave of you. I know that right now you're here representing, I think you said 80 cadets now. So you're definitely a leader. We'll do what we can to support you.
we're definitely going to do everything we can and more to try to fix this. So thank you very much for bringing this to our attention. Thank you. No, but thank you for bringing it to our attention and allowing us to try to fix this. That's our job.
Thank you
Thank you
both.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so we are going to go back to 2C, public hearing, correct, Mr. Nian?
Yes.
Okay. Public hearing, open, conduct and close public hearing to allow for public comment regarding adoption of 2025-26 local control and accountability plan, LCAP, for the Antelope Valley Union High School District. The Board of Trustees is asked to conduct a public hearing regarding the proposed 25-26 LCAP for the AVUHSD. The board will open public hearing at 6:22. Are there any comments from the staff or board? Dr. Grado?
Thank you. Yes, here to discuss the LCAP and answer any questions you may have is Dr. Will Laird.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the board and cabinet. So I'm going to be just giving you a brief overview of the LCAP for this year, the 25-26 LCAP. I am pleased to say this is as a reminder, this is the second year of a 3-year LCAP. Based on feedback from our educational partners and looking at the metrics, I am pleased to let you know that we, at this point, and that's not going forward, Meg. Oh, there it is. It is the same actions that we had last year, goals and actions that we had last year, with one exception. So I thought what I'd do is I'd start off with kind of a highlight of what are the changes between last year's document and this year's document, because it is going to be virtually the same as the LCAP that you approved last year. So if you'll look at the third slide, and I believe you guys all have hard copies. If you look at goal 6, that is our equity multiplier goal. We had 3 schools that were identified as equity multiplier sites last year: Phoenix, RX, and Desert Winds. This year, Antelope Valley High School has also met the requirements or met the standard for being identified as an equity multiplier school. And so they are going to be added to goal 6. And then in order to also address the fact that we now have another school being added to goal 6, there are 2 new actions that will be added to goal 6 that will focus on professional development, as well as building positive relationships in school culture, which is going to focus heavily on things like attendance and enrollment. And then we also have a new goal 7, which is very specific to the Learning Recovery Emergency Block Grant. And that has to do with unexpended funds for that grant. That grant is in place. It's a one-time grant through 2027 and 2028. And so goal 7 has been added to the LCAP, and this is being done throughout the state. Other districts are also doing the same thing. And this is to basically address specific actions related to how we're going to continue to spend those funds that have been unexpended. So those are the changes. Everything else is the same as last year. At this point, if you want me to go through each of the goals, I'm happy to do that. Or if you want me to focus on the areas that are new and different, I can do that as well.
I think if you focus on the areas that are new and different, but also some of the places where I know I had comments and concerns about, if you want to see where we've moved in 1 year of those areas. I
Yes.
know especially the STEAM ideas, the dashboard. I mean, I read the LCAP. So give us a little bit, but you don't have to go too deep in the weeds.
Absolutely. So we got some educational partner feedback, and these are just a summary of the things that they felt that we were doing well, and the areas that we're making progress, and then also the areas that they want us to continue to focus, which are again consistent with the same areas that we've had in previous years. Looking at goal 1 and 2 focus primarily on a lot of our academic goals. And so I think you had a question about STEAM support. And so goal 2, providing 21st century learning, you will see action 2.10 focuses on the things that we're doing in particular to focus on the STEAM initiatives and efforts. And so we hid the slide in the presentation just because it's really fine print, but in your written presentation, you have a page that has the specific things that we're doing in relation to 2.10. So if you want to take a look at that, I'm happy to highlight that for you if you want. So 2.10 has to do with the initiatives throughout the district regarding VAPA, support staff. As you guys know, we hired several new staff, including a coordinator of VAPA here at the district office, and then also new personnel on each site to help coordinate those efforts to make sure that those initiatives are being aligned with the things that we're doing in relation to VAPA, and then as well as our STEM programs.
So
Question.
just while we're on that, when I was looking at this big old packet, can you give me, where can I find the arts? How are we actually integrating? Because there are still some places where it says STEM, but my understanding and hope was that our entire district culture turns into a STEAM pedagogy where we have arts integration in all of these places. And I guess that's where I want to know, where can I find that in this LCAP from last year to today? What have we done to integrate arts within all of the subject matters?
That's part of our strategic plan as well, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so I guess where can I find, you can just tell me the page numbers too. And I'll just look
I
it
don't
up.
have the page number off the top of my
Okay.
head.
You could send
But-
it.
Dr. Slater
But you can
Sanchez.
send
Yeah,
it to
Yeah,
us because we're just talking about it today,
Yeah.
but we don't vote until Tuesday.
correct.
But I
Correct.
definitely want to see what we have done in this past year that
Yeah.
is actual integration, arts integration
Yeah,
in
absolutely.
that. Thank you. So we can move on from 2.10.
This is. Well,
Goal 3 has to do with cultivating a safe, secure, positive school culture. Again, no change in those actions. So that's the carryover from last year. And then goal 4 has to do with effective communication with our educational partners. Again, no changes in this goal from last year. Goal 5 focuses on our students with disabilities, which is our lowest performing group. And again, based on the feedback that we've received and also our metrics, there were no changes to any actions regarding goal 5. And so again, the things that we're doing are continuing to show progress. Goal 6, as I mentioned, was the equity multiplier goal. And the big change is that we now have another school that's being added to that. And so as you can see there, we did add 2 new actions, action 6 and 7, which focus on professional development. And then also, as I mentioned, looking specifically at building positive relationships on those campuses. And then goal 7 is our new goal that focuses specifically on our learning recovery emergency block grant. And these are the actions that are related to that goal that address specifically how we plan on spending those unexpended monies. Again, this is a one-time state grant that expires in 27-28. So obviously we want to make sure that we're leveraging all those funds, and it's geared specifically towards learning recovery and trying to close that learning loss gap that we saw after COVID. And we are making progress in those areas, significant areas of progress. And so this is now just a more specific and memorialized way of outlining what we're doing and how we're spending that money.
So with 6.6 and 6.7,
Yes.
can you give me an example of what the professional development trainings are? Because it's saying this training will deepen, but who did we bring forth? Give me just an example of.
Right. So the equity multiplier is specifically having to do with low income, and then students that are defined as unstable or students that aren't coming to school or not completing a full school year. So what we're looking at is ways that we can continue to build positive climate on campus. So professional development having to do with teachers being able to connect more with kids, relate more with kids, give them a little bit more of a relationship with teachers, a little bit more motivation to want to be at school. We know that kids miss schools for a lot of different reasons, but one of those reasons is I just don't want to go, right? So professional development with the teachers on how to connect with those kids, and at the alt sites in particular, it's difficult because the kids are there for part of the day. At the continuation sites, if you remember, they're there for a few hours, and the attendance is historically low on those campuses. And so we're trying to look at ways that we can provide motivation and other reasons for kids to want to be on campus. And so there's going to be a lot of PD involved in social emotional learning and things like that, connecting with students on that level. But then also just looking at ways that we can motivate kids, give them other reasons to want to be at school so that they can be there and actually benefit from the programs that we have at those sites.
And if I may I jump in on that as well? One of the things that we really focused on the last 2 years is the core instructional model, which is a research-based instructional framework. And even at our, they've been really doing a good job, Dr. Tepper has, with the professional development at our alt sites. And part of the reason, sometimes students don't come to class because they're just not engaged. And so using this model, we're really trying to get them at that tier 1 level and engage them. And so the professional development we've done the last 2 years has really been heavy in that area. So all of our teachers have been trained, and it's been a common assurance district-wide. So that is one of the main things that we've been doing with our PD money.
You.
I have a question to piggyback off. But this is in regards to goal number 3.16, lower suspension rates. And I noticed that it says the same thing, administrative certificated and classified staff will receive professional development. I know that you say you're implementing professional development. And just for my understanding, I'm not sure if you could give me an example of what type of professional development that would be, that would assist, and is security and everyone's included in this?
Yes, so we have a number of different campus-wide professional development initiatives. One of our biggest initiatives right now is MTSS, where we're looking at all the different domains. So we're looking at the social emotional, we're looking at the behavioral, we're looking at the academic. And so we have MTSS teams from every school site, and they've been coming to the district office throughout the school year. And so those teams then go back to their site and then they train the rest of the staff. And so we're constantly looking at ways that we can connect with and engage students more. And as Dr. Grado said, academically, we're looking at the core instructional model. From a behavioral standpoint, we've been working through our PBIS program, finding more positive ways of working with students through disciplinary issues. Our student support centers are part of that MTSS kind of overall or overarching program. The student support centers have been around longer than MTSS, but MTSS is kind of pulling all those resources together. And then also in terms of social emotional, we have specific curriculum that we're teaching in our classes that are focusing on that social emotional piece called Habitudes. And so it's those teams that are being trained, and it includes administrators, it includes instructors, it includes counseling teams, it also includes classified staff, our security teams, and then they go back and then they train their staff through their staff PDs that they have through their faculty meetings and so forth. Does that help?
I have a quick question. Habitudes, is that digital only? It's online only?
They do it, they do it in class.
But it's through.
But it is a
Yeah,
digital
it
format.
is a digital
Yes.
platform.
So as we look forward to the next cycle, let's try not to always rely on the online digital world. I mean, I know it's here, AI is here, everything is here, but I'm a firm believer that the engagement needs to go beyond the computer screen. So just give us some other options as well.
Absolutely. Any other questions?
I'm good. Good job. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Are there any other comments from the public?
Don't have any comments at this time.
All right, we're going to close public hearing at 6:35. Thank you. D, public hearing, open, conduct, and close public hearing to allow for public comment regarding adoption of 25-26 LCAP for the academies of the Antelope Valley. The Board of Trustees is asked to conduct public hearing regarding the proposed 25-26 LCAP for academies of the Antelope Valley. The board will open the public hearing at 6:35. Are there any comments from the staff? Dr. Grado.
Once again, Dr. Laird is here to answer any questions for you.
And as you'll recall, AAV as a dependent charter has their own separate LCAP, which also operates as their site plan. And so as with the district LCAP, there were no changes between last year and this year. However, they also have a goal that addresses the unexpended learning recovery emergency block grant funds. So same goals and actions as last year, no changes, but I'm happy to answer any questions that you guys have.
Is there any thoughts? So the slide, educational partner feedback areas for growth. Can we go through those a little bit? Why they felt, or while they felt school is a safe place, parents shared concerns about cyberbullying and general threats in the neighborhood. So what is Evolve and Raptor? What is that?
So Evolve and Raptor are two systems that we are in the process of putting in place. Some have already happened. Evolve is the new weapons detection system that we're installing at the schools. And then the Raptor is the new ID, correct?
But how does that?
Yes, Centegix is a new ID, and that will be in place in the new school year.
But how does that address cyberbullying? Because that's all if they're in person.
Yeah, so again, this is educator or educational partner feedback. Cyberbullying is one of those ongoing things that we're constantly dealing with, with the rise of social media. And so that was one of the things that came up specifically with AAV because, as you know, there is the virtual component. And so there's a lot of online activity in terms of the way that they do education and the way that they do classes. And so that was one of the things that they wanted us to just continue to pay attention to. And so I know the site does address those concerns and they deal with it through the disciplinary process. But because of the nature of that school, it's one of the things that I think they're a little more heightened to in terms of awareness.
And then the TikToks in the restroom. Hopefully things will be changing next year with cell
Hopefully they
phones.
will. Yes.
So maybe that will go.
Hopefully the
And then-
TikTok challenges will fade away as a fad.
Drinking fountains. What is that? They don't
Yeah,
have
so specifically on those campuses, there was an expressed desire to see more of like the filtered water fountains where they can fill
Oh.
up their bottles and
instead
have,
of doing the other.
yeah, the
thing.
traditional drinking fountains.
Okay, and
Yeah.
then the cleanliness.
Yep.
And then the students need to get together in person. I would, hopefully the Dr. Andy
Hot filter.
Yes, I never could
Yeah.
say his last name. Hopefully in the next year, we'll see more the engagement student, because that I believe helps with MTSS.
Yeah.
That other stuff.
And I know that's a challenge and they're constantly looking for ways to try to get those students more connected and engaged again because of that virtual format.
And
And
then-
this year I'm sorry, they had their first in-person prom this year at the downtown at the, excuse me, the MOA. So yeah, the virtual academy, and it was really well attended and they had a really great time. So
It's amazing.
doing more of those in-person, gatherings. So.
Definitely. Well, they need to learn how to talk to each other.
Yes.
Because then when they come out of the cyber world and meet humanity, they don't know how to.
Ask for ketchup.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
No, really. I mean, these are
It's
life
true.
skills that they need to get with real humans. And then timeline for teachers to get back to them about emails. Does that mean they're like too long or too
Correct.
short? Like,
Yeah,
what exactly.
Correct. Just like at any school, the parents, want that immediate kind of response or as quickly as possible. And so just wanted to kind of put that, I think, on the school's radar that they really wanted to make sure that the staff was timely in terms of responding to questions or concerns that they had
Is
through
there a
email.
policy on replying back to parents?
I don't know what the specific policy at the virtual academy is, but there's kind of a general policy.
There's contract language that addresses returning parents' emails within 48 hours,
Oh, well then.
excluding the
48 hours.
weekend.
Maybe we just need to remind them,
That's exactly,
except the weekends.
except the weekends.
I wish I could believe that for my own self. All right, and then I think, just give me a moment. Okay,
I can just ask a question regarding the cleanliness of the campus.
Mhm.
Was there a specific campus that they were speaking about, or, because there's one of them is a virtual, the other two are actual.
Yeah, so the two physical campuses are SOAR Prep and Night Prep. And then the virtual academy is the offices are housed there at SOAR Prep. And so I don't recall that it was specific to a campus. I'd have to go back.
Prep housed again?
Right behind Quartz Hill, right kind of just down the street from Quartz Hill High School, right on Avenue L, kind of right behind the stadium. And cleanliness is one that comes up often. We have custodians who work really hard, but sometimes the bathrooms don't.
For me, it's the birds.
It's the birds.
It's the
Oh,
birds.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah. That is
The bird.
hard to maintain. Yeah.
We get to shoot.
We're not. gonna
Greg
be
said that
cool.
we can get falcons, that Palmdale will come and rescue everybody.
Let's get Falcons.
Can we film that?
No, but we do have to do something about the
Use
birds.
that at the dump. I see the guy with the falcon. A bad idea?
Okay. New goal 5?
Yep.
Can you just talk a little bit about?
Yeah, so the Learning Recovery Emergency Block Grant was a one-time state funding that was that was authorized by the state because of the learning loss that occurred from COVID. And so we have until 2027, 2028 school year to spend that money. Right now, this is specific for AAV, but the Antelope Valley High School District, we have about $20 million that is still unexpended. And so that's what that goal is meant to address, is to make sure that we have some explicit actions that we're going to be taking to continue to spend down that money so that we don't end up losing it or, not being able to spend all of it.
And then specifically for the virtual academy,
Yes.
what are we doing to ensure that our young students are not cheating on exams and those sorts of things? Because I know there are software systems out there like Proctorio, for example, Proctorio gives me anxiety, but how can one actually assess a kid when they're just on their screens,
Right.
doing their work? I see it. They have another tab open, copy, paste, move along, A's. Okay. So how are we looking at that through the LCAP, but really calling it out? It's a hard discussion to have. It's a hard kind of, but what are we doing to prevent, curtail anything for that? Because it is happening.
Sure.
And in our virtual academy, if that's something that continues and grows, it's not going to get better unless we address it.
Yeah. So in our new AI policies that we're developing, that is one of the things that we're looking closely at. Obviously, as you guys know, AI is growing faster than we can keep up. I just went to a conference a few weeks back in Arlington, Texas, and it was educational leaders across the country that are experts in the field of AI, specifically in education. And they made the point that for all of the programs that are out there to detect whether or not something was AI created, the AI is growing faster than the programs are being created to detect it. So as soon as you get a program that can detect whether or not it's AI, there's already an AI program that is able to beat that particular detection program. So with the AI policy, obviously we want to look at what we can do, and really it's going to come back to teaching students how to properly use AI, when it's okay to use, when it's not okay to use. And so part of that AI policy is going to be creating those boundaries and making sure students know it's not that you can't use AI, but you also have to understand what the ultimate goal is. The goal is to learn, and you're not going to learn this particular task or this particular thing by just going to AI. And so it's going to find a way to integrate AI into what we're doing, but in a way that allows kids to use it when it's appropriate and understanding when they can't use it.
And I definitely say what I'm about to say through an awareness of we'd have to look at the equity
Sure.
about this. Is there a way that the district with the virtual students can actually do assessments in person with a piece of paper and a pen or a pencil to see if the knowledge can come without being behind a screen?
Yes, there is a way to do that.
So how do we get that to happen as a board? Because I'm very concerned about the learning that is not happening online. And my college students tell me, the high school students tell me, I didn't learn nothing. Same with COVID, the gaps, closing learning gaps. We talked about this with the ICC as well, about some think, let's go back to the good old paper and pencil kind of attitude. Now, of course, we cannot go back because we're already too advanced. But where can we find that medium of being responsible educational leaders to really show that these kids are learning something through the virtual academy without a screen?
So our NWA assessments are given in person. Those are not virtual, as well as the CASP, Smarter Balance assessments. Those are in person, and those are the best indication of both achievement and growth for a student up through the 8th grade. We only give that once in high school, the SBAC. But those are the best indicators of what a student is actually learning. If you require in-person assessments every Friday, that takes away from the attractiveness of virtual school. And that virtual option is there for students who need it or whose parents want it. So we can continue to explore ways of using tunnel browsers or other.
Or, I mean, I'm not suggesting every Friday, but what if we said every month or every 6 weeks? I mean, I think we need to be, dare I say it, a little more strict on the virtual learning in ways that it's going to make people probably angry. But I would love to see the scores or the data of the virtual academy. Is that in this?
It's
With the
not,
LCAP app?
not
Will-
for this most recent year. We do have metrics in the LCAP that look at student performance. But we just got the initial results from this year. We just started getting the CASP results in the last couple of weeks.
what
And
are
I
we
can tell
at?
you, that the virtual academy scored very well in
Okay.
relation to the comp sites. So
And when you say they come in person, they're like they're proctored. There's a proctor or
correct.
individual that,
Yeah.
you know, like when you took the SATs or the GREs, there's somebody like
Correct.
watching you.
Yeah, one of the biggest challenges is our virtual academies and our IS programs, but we do require them to come in and take the CASP in person. But
Because
that is one
IS
of the challenges.
is considered virtual.
Not exactly.
Not exactly. It's not virtual. They use an online curriculum, but it's not considered a virtual program like the virtual academy is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, definitely more to discuss, but hopefully us as a board can think a little critically about virtual academies. Anything else?
And when you say that they perform better on the CASP, and you said in relation to who?
The comp sites, the
The comp
comprehensive sites. So they score very well. When you look at the district average, they're above average when it comes to how students are performing on the CASP.
Well, I also think it's because they're one-to-one, more one-on-one attention. I mean, I was at the 8th grade promotion and I've been to the AV talking to the teacher. I mean, this is happening where at a comp site, you've got 30 plus kids sometimes in a room distracted by life, you know? So, I mean, that doesn't
And
surprise me.
those teachers were,
Phones.
those teachers were really hurt.
Yeah, and those teachers, I mean, all of our teachers work really hard, but it's a lot one-on-one. It's think about like, for those of you that have been in small learning environments, you get more attention versus the other world. So that does not surprise me. Okay, well, something to think about, but on the LCAP, hopefully the next cycle, we think about those things.
Absolutely. And I do want to thank Dr. Slater Sanchez for all the work that she did in putting together the LCAP. I get to come up and present, but it's a representation of work that staff has done. Specifically, Dr. Slater Sanchez, also Trixie Flores, and then our educational staff, our LCAPs, analytics and metrics, Marcy Clements. So a lot of people put a lot of time and effort into this. So I appreciate you guys listening and the questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any comments from the public?
I have no comments.
All right, we're gonna close public hearing at 6:50, 6:50. Oh. Yes. Our friend that came in a little late from CSEA. Or are you here to speak on behalf of CSEA? You're not, okay, just
wanted to make sure.
wanted to make sure.
We kind of switched the agenda.
Great. E, public hearing, open, conduct, and close public hearing to allow for public comment regarding 2025 PINCO budget. The board is asked to conduct a public hearing with regard to the 25-26 PINCO budget. The board will open the hearing at 6:51. Are there any comments from the staff? Mr. Vensko.
Good evening, Madam President, Board of Trustees. Before you tonight is the initial review of the adopted budget for PINCO, the Partners in Nutrition Cooperative. PINCO is a joint powers agreement with 20 plus districts to assist in procuring, storing, and delivering commodities for their respective nutrition departments. All of its revenues are equal to their expenditures, meaning that each one of the members are billed back for their expenditures. So there's no excess or deficit within this budget. The remaining fund balance is a combination of balances from each of the districts because the term of the JPA requires PINCO to hold 2.5 months of their average purchase in reserve. That concludes my report on the PINCO 25-26 adopted budget, and I would be happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Anyone have any questions?
Yes, I do. In the 2 months that, as we're winding down into the summer months, has the inventory also wind down?
Yeah, they do. They only are allowed to keep so much inventory on hand, and there's different rules. Joe Cook would be a better explanation of how the dates and that, but they do wind down the inventory and they do have to have it out by a certain time period.
And so we should have enough product and inventory going into the new school year.
Well, yeah, absolutely. They do a good job of making sure, knowing that they need to have so much, ready for the start of school year.
All right. Are there any comments from the public?
No comments from the public?
Close public hearing at 6:53. F, public hearing, open, conduct, and close public hearing to allow for public comment regarding the adoption of 2025-26 budget. The board is asked to conduct a public hearing with regard to the 2025-26 AVUHSD budget. The board will open the public hearing at 6:53. Are there any comments from the staff? Mr. Vinsko.
All right, well, good evening again. Tonight I'll be presenting the 25-26 adopted budget report, or Big Kahuna, as our Director of Business Services, Trixie Flores, calls it. Who, along with her staff, has spent countless hours over the past month putting this report together. So special shout out to her and her team for their hard work. Tonight's report is just a snapshot of the more than 100-page report that outlines the district budget for the upcoming year. The adopted budget report is the first report for the 25-26 fiscal year. Included in the adopted budget report, we also have the estimated actuals for the 24-25 school year. The estimated actuals are our best guess of what the final revenue and expenditures of the district will be for the year. The reason we do this is to establish the ending fund balance for the 24-25 year, which will become the beginning balance for the 25-26 adopted budget. In order to develop the adopted budget, we must use information and data, or planning factors, that we have now to come up with what will happen over the next 12 months. One of the big planning factors we use in developing our budget is the governor's May revision to his initially proposed budget in January. The state budget is extremely important to school districts because more than 85% of our funding comes from the state. Governor Newsom's May revision was released amid significant financial and economic uncertainty. One key factor contributing to these uncertainties is the federal economic policy, which is creating volatility within the stock market. The top 1% earners in the state of California pay nearly 40% of all taxes collected in the state, and much of their revenue is dependent on how well the stock market does and overall economy. So when they're not doing well, the state also isn't doing well. So that's why it's no surprise that the governor is projecting decreases in both California gross domestic product and tax revenues. Now, how does that relate to school districts? Well, Prop 98, the education funding portion of the state's budget, is directly affected by how well the state revenues are doing. Since state revenues are dropping, so is the Prop 98 funding guarantee to the tune of about $4 billion. $4 billion less than the 24-25 levels. However, the governor's proposed budget is attempting to ease the blow to districts by trying to keep funding relatively flat year over year by using all of the rainy day or Prop 98 reserves. However, as you can see from this chart, we are expecting a cost of living adjustment to our LCFF funding and other programs. We were looking at about 3% just a year ago, and now we're down to 2.3%. This alone represents about a $1.8 million annual loss in funding for us. However, the state budget isn't the only thing that we look at in terms of planning factors for the adopted budget. Some of the most important planning factors that a district uses is enrollment, average daily attendance, and unduplicated pupil count, or unduplicated pupil percentage. Our enrollment or number of students enrolled in our schools is used to determine our expenditures in terms of staffing levels, both teachers and support staff, and our supplies and facility needs. On the revenue side, the state funds us based on ADA and the unduplicated pupil count. Excuse me. In 25-26, we are projecting about $12,420 per ADA, and we get an additional $3,182 in supplemental and concentration grant or targeted funding that we address in the LCAP based on our unduplicated pupil percentage. ADA is a factor of enrollment is based on how often a student attends school. So as enrollment continues to decline, so does our ADA level. Additionally, we are experiencing, and projecting that our students attend school only about 90% of the school year. Prior to COVID, we were actually seeing levels of about 93%. Every 1% of lost ADA equates to about $3 million in lost revenue, which highlights one aspect of why attendance is so important, but the other being that when students don't come to school, they also aren't learning as well. So it's not just financially, no, I know it hurts, but it hurts us grade and educationally. All right, so I've gone a lot over different things. So utilizing the previously mentioned factors and others as well, we can develop the adopted budget. On the revenue side, we're expecting to receive about $393 million in revenue for the 25-26 school year, with our main source of funding coming from LCFF to the tune of about $296 million. So just to illustrate how declining enrollment / ADA affects revenues, if we were to have a flat ADA / enrollment with a 2.3% COLA, we would have gotten about $7 million increase year over year from 24-25. However, we are only recognizing and expecting to see about $400,000 compared to last year. On the other side of the budget coin is expenditures. As you can see here, the district is expected to spend about $416 million in the upcoming fiscal year. In the chart, you'll see various categories of our spending, with about 78% of every dollar we spend going to our staff. The other 22% is spent on supplies, equipment, and other operating expenses. Normally, the district spends about 80 to 85% of its funds on salaries and benefits for employees, but because of one-time funds and trying to spend it on one-time expenses, that number is slightly lower. Now, if you remember from the last slide, we had revenues of about $393 million. So you can see we are spending more than what we are bringing in. This deficit is mostly due to district spending down one-time funds. So I moved a little sooner, but this slide is something that LACO requires us to do, and is to explain why we have more than a 3% reserve. A 3% reserve is about $12.5 million. To put that in perspective, our monthly payroll is about $28 million. So even the required reserves by the state aren't even half of what our monthly payroll is. So in any case, we project to have about $8.4 million of unassigned reserve after taking account our account projects that are on the screen and one-time expenditures that we use our ending fund balance on. So far, we've just been looking at the current fiscal year, the 25-26 budget, but as part of the budget process, we're required to do a 2-year outlook, including the current year. This chart shows unrestricted only multi-year projection. While there's a lot of numbers on the screen, I really want to point out the net increase decrease. You can see that we have 3 years of increased deficit spending, mostly due to the spend down of funds and on projects that I showed in the previous slide. But some other factors are, again, the low LCFF. I'm sorry, question? Okay, didn't want to keep going. Some other factors are the low year-over-year LCF revenue increases we are experiencing due to declining enrollment and ADA. And another big factor is the contribution to special education. The state federal government only provides us about 25% of the funding that it requires to carry out the services of special ed department. So the unrestricted general fund must come up with the difference. This low level of funding, coupled with an increased SPED population, leads to an increased contribution to the revenues for the SPED department, SPED program. Last, all of what we've been talking about thus far has been the general fund. The district does operate other funds, as you can see here, and here's just a representative of what the annual operating expenses and revenues are for each fund. And we all have, each one of the funds has a healthy benefit or ending fund balances. All right, to wrap up the presentation, I want to summarize where we are and what was coming ahead. As I mentioned, we do have a healthy ending fund balance. However, we are projecting several years of deficit spending due to a variety of factors. The district experiencing declining enrollment and a lower average attendance rate. Additionally, as one-time funds are exhausted, those costs become the burden of the unrestricted budget, which is why it's important going forward that the district continue to analyze the factors that we have some control over, such as staffing levels and trying to increase our attendance rate and ensuring our staffing levels are improved. Excuse me, said that twice. In terms of next steps, the budget process, the legislature has to adopt a budget by June 15th, and the governor has to approve that by June 30th. If there are any significant changes to the budget, the district will come back with a revision 45 days from now or from when they approve it. And with that, that concludes my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Mr. Vensko. That's a lot of info. Thank you. And then this is even more. Yeah. So are there any questions or comments for the budget?
Good job.
Yeah, I think this is great. With the ADA lowering attendance, enrollment, that sort of thing, I think from our perspective is we need to figure out a way to get the kids back in the seats. How? Because that clearly is impacting our budget.
Definitely. I think that's not just our district that has that issue, but throughout the state. But, you know, we do have a good attendant. We have a director of attendance who's been working really hard, Dr. Viola Scott, who's been looking at different ways that we can teach our staff how to reach out to the families, and along with the ed services and student services department, that's going to become a focus for us over the next several years to make sure we get a better attendance rate.
Definitely. And I know that was something that we had mentioned before, just attendance and how do we get kids to want to come to school, So Mr. Nahan, is it possible sometime this summer, Dr. Scott is that the person's name? Dr. Scott can give us a presentation about attendance. What are we doing? How are we looking ahead to get our ADA up? Because I understand it's 90%, but I know the 5 of us up here, we want everybody to come to school. And there's nothing wrong with striving for that high number. So if it's okay with the board, if we can ask for a presentation of attendance and.
Sure. Would you like that in January or in August? I'm sorry, July or August?
The sooner the better, but Mrs. Mann is not here in July, so let's do August.
Okay, August.
And if not, how to get it up, how to keep it from going down.
Right, because the orange just keeps going this way. And I mean, we've got to think strategically. We have a Department of Communications. Maybe there's some sort of campaign that we need to be creative about, or
oh yeah,
something.
Absolutely. There's lots of different ways to do it. I know that we can. It might be a big lift, but we can do it. And that's something that like I said, I've been talking with Dr. Scott over the last several months, really. So definitely happy to bring that back to you in August.
Thank you. We all want more money.
Exactly.
Thank you, Mr. Rensko.
Thank you.
Are there any comments from public?
We don't have any comments from the public.
All right, we're going to close the public hearing at 7:05. And then we already did G. So we're going to move to H, comments from the board or superintendent. Mr. Nehan.
Comments this evening.
Trustee Mann.
Just thank you for the presentations. Everything was great. Graduation, Lancaster High School. We closed out another great graduation. So I was proud to be there. Thank you for being with me, Dr. Grado.
Trustee Hernandez.
Same thing. Congratulations to all of our graduates, our staff, our teachers, and everyone that really worked hard this year. It was really nice to be out there and get to see everyone just, close out their years with a bang. So.
Great. Trustee Hughes.
Thank you very much for the presentations. Outstanding job. We know you guys put a lot of work into this and making us understand it. So thank you. Had a great time at the Quartz Hill along with my Madam President here. And it was an outstanding, way different experience this year than last year. So I just wanted to say kudos to making it better. So thank you.
Vice President Sanchez.
Yeah, that's same here. Went to three of them, three graduations, and the one that touched me the most was the adult school. That one was very like, wow, I'm not gonna miss one anymore. Yeah, that was bad. That was big. Bad as in good. All right. I'm good.
All right, thank you. And for me, I again, congratulations to all of the 2025 graduates. I was at 4 graduations. It was amazing. All of it. There's always eye-opening moments of each of these different schools, and I try to go to different ones each year. So next year I'll make some other ones, of course. And then I want to just, I'm so excited that our 2 newest trustees have made 6 months, right? I mean, we're June, December. Congrats. So let's give them a round of applause. Thank you. Thank you.
Liza.
Yes, and again, I just thank you all to the entire district staff, team, teachers, faculty, classified, all of the different folks that work here. And thank you to my board here. I just always just feel so honored to be up here. It's a great privilege. And that's all I have to say. See you Tuesday. It is recommended that the board adjourn the meeting at this point. Can I get a motion?
Motion.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. All right, meeting is adjourned. Good night. Happy weekend.